Very firmly held conviction for him.
That office. It's important to note that
Wait, what? Former Kick staff says what we all knew. Staff was dropping hard R's casually in the office. Wait, what? Ex-staff, why I had to leave Kick?
For those of you who don't know who I am, which is probably 99% of you, my name's Melissa, and I was previously employed by Kick and Steak. There's been a couple of controversies recently that I've posted on my Twitter just in regards to how they've treated me since I left. Not only did they send me a cease and desist, which I'll go into in a second, in regards to this tweet, or here, but they've also been lying about the fact that I was fired when I quit. So I posted this post with my resignation letter in it. I think a lot of people were kind of confused on why I would post a resignation letter to like 700 people that follow me on Twitter. This is because quite a few people in the esports industry do follow my account. And I thought it was a good way to showcase that if they had heard these lies, that they were absolutely unfounded. And I felt like I really had no other option. I mean, it was either let it go or try my hardest to get it out there, that was absolutely not the case. Now, when I talk about them lying about me being fired, I'm not talking about an entry-level exec or some account manager. I'm talking about the CMO of both Kick and Steak, the guy that approves all the contracts. He's the head of the affiliate team for Steak. He runs the social media team, but pretty much everything runs through him. Every event, anything at all, as far as ideas or streamers or anything runs through this guy. He's basically Ed. He's on pretty much the exact same level as this guy. He directly reports to Ed. The CMO basically runs everything. I think they decided to go with this strategy because Steak and Kick are supposed to be sort of booming at the moment, and a lot of people in the industry would probably think it was crazy for someone to leave because it's such a big opportunity, and it really is, especially being in Australia where we really don't have a big entertainment industry at all. So, you know, this is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity for people. I think that they would have thought they would get away with saying that I was fired because there's no way someone would leave this business. Little do they know it was actually extremely easy to leave with the things that go on in that office. The ego on these people is insane to think that no one would leave. But they do employ people purposely that are completely okay with unethical behavior and conduct it themselves and work with zero integrity. So I'm not surprised that they were surprised that I would leave. I guess that was a mistake on their point to even employ someone like me, thinking that I would be okay with even a quarter of the things that happen in that office. It's important to note that the office environment for me was extremely hostile. Not only because I was being treated pretty poorly by a couple of individuals and the people that I went to for help were not helpful at all, but because there was just a consistent disrespect to other people's opinions and beliefs. And this went as far as to just consistently hearing the F slur, and not even just in jest, like as a joke. It was specifically, you know, targeted towards people that it was supposed to discriminate against. Even so much as to walk past the socials room, the guys that run the, you know, Kick streaming and Kick community, and hear the N-word just dropped, hard R. And I'm like, what is this office? How? And they had the executive, like the upper management was in.
Shocking. Who could have thought? Who could have thought that that this was happening? Would have never imagined. What I want to know is, I mean, first of all, they're literally paying streamers to like defend saying the N-word anyway. Or they're paying streamers who are defending saying the N-word anyway. What I want to know is like, what kind of marketing initiatives they engaged in. Did they pay those like blue checkmark Twitter accounts to do ads for Kick in general, or maybe even attack Kick's enemies, perceived enemies? I would love to find that out. That's what I would know. That's what I would want to know.
In the room. And I just sort of was like, what did I just hear? I couldn't believe it. And it's like, I came from companies that if you said anything slightly offensive, you were in trouble, if not fired. Like, and I think, you know, there is
I'm incredibly shocked by this news. Kick always seemed like a bastion for progress and really was looking to shake up the streaming space. They were incredibly pro-labor in streaming. Yeah.
A balance that you have to strike. But at the end of the day, it's the company's responsibility to ensure that everybody feels safe and welcome. I even remember seeing a couple of people in my team laughing because they were deliberately misgendering transgender streamers. Like, who, like, how do you function in that environment? So in regards to my resignation letter, a lot of it was blurred. This was just due to the fact that a lot of it was personal information that wasn't really relevant, or it depicted another staff member whose story is not mine to tell. But the part that you could see that I really didn't want public, but I knew if I blurred literally the entire thing out, it would have zero impact and people would just assume that it was fake anyway. So I speak about the fact that I needed flexible working arrangements and that they were revoked. A lot of people assumed that I needed to be home all the time, or I was working from home, or I wasn't showing up from work, or I was taking a ridiculous amount of time off, which is just absolutely not the case.
You literally told Vice President Train to be careful not to go down this path to his face. Once again, you were correct, but just too early. At that point, I wasn't even fucking correct too early. I was just correct. And people were getting the bag to not see it. And so instead of, I don't know, heeding my warnings, they chose to fucking disassociate, alienate myself and my community and cast me out as like a fucking social pariah. And, you know, a couple years down the line, we are now looking at a situation where every single person still carries on those resentments, by the way. Like, their communities still carry those resentments. The Hasan is a snake type shit, you know? And yet people now also recognize that maybe I was right. Just won't say it. They still carry a shit ton. They still carry a shit ton of that resentment. Maybe they don't even know why they carry that resentment. They've just been conditioned into fucking being like, yeah, that guy sucks. His opinions are wrong. Nope, they weren't.
So my daughter started school in February, and every second week I needed to pick her up. So I would get in at around 9:30 after dropping her off. I wouldn't take any breaks or have lunch, and I would leave by about 2:30. It's important to note that a lot of staff members work from home, and we absolutely didn't have a stringent office working environment where we couldn't actually access information outside of the office. Especially my team, where we had to work 24/7 because we were the POCs for a lot of partners overseas. And also I was consistently working with businesses overseas. So there were times where I would be working from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. outside of work hours after doing a day's work. So it was very normal to work from home anyway. And all I needed to do was work from home for a couple of hours at the end of the day to pick up my daughter every second week. You can imagine it was a surprise to me when the manager of the partners team, yes, the same guy that has been going around spreading lies about me, sat me down and just flat out said that my flexible working arrangements would be revoked effective immediately, and I need to find alternatives.
I got shit for saying Kick will only last as long as Eddie's willing to call it an advertising expense for steak. It was doomed to fail from the start. No advertisers running on Amazon IVS, no organic growth, have to hire people to come. It was doomed. Yeah. Here's the thing, everybody. Ultimately, the same test exists for Kick as it does for every other streaming platform. Would people go there and voluntarily stream there for free? If the answer is no, then there is no, there is no long-term commitment to growing the platform. And I say this about YouTube as well. I said this about YouTube at the time as well. YouTube, if they wanted to, they could genuinely, if YouTube wanted to, they could genuinely create a massive competitor to Twitch. They just don't care about deploying enough resources in that direction. They care about short form content, so Twitch lucked out in that front. But for Kick, it was never slated as a genuine competitor to Twitch. It was just created because, you could no longer advertise steak on Twitch. Sorry, but this is wrong. Kick is genuinely thriving. I like a lot of creators that move there, and they're cleaning it up. Currently, I'd say only about 85% of the streamers there are Nazi kid diddlers. They're making progress. Yeah.
I found it absolutely disgusting that
Twitch has always had issues itself in getting people to the platform. They were pretty open about this pre-2016. They've always relied on big gaming releases. Kick doesn't have that draw. Well, it's a little bit different when It's a little bit different when the big draw